Thomas Freer is co-author of the report and is in our London studio. Thomas Freer, good to speak to you. What would it take for a military exercise to end up in conflict?
Well, the purpose of this report wasn't necessarily to say that NATO and Russia are on the brink of conflict. What it does serve to illustrate is the action-reaction cycle that exercises such as those that we report represent. In many ways, this is a classic security dilemma whereby one side, perceiving itself to be entirely justified and threatened from outside forces, conducts large-scale military preparations, which in turn makes the neighbours similarly worried, and they in turn will respond in kind. But what I will say is that these exercises of such a scale, particularly on the Russian side, have been used in the past as a precursor to military intervention in its neighbours.
NATO is defending its military exercises. It says they're proportionate, defensive and fully in line with international commitments.
And NATO is quite right to point out that their exercises are in line with the OSCE Vienna document, which stipulates that they must be declared in advance and observers must be allowed to see them. But on the Russian side, we're not necessarily seeing this. Russia has found quite a convenient loophole in this, whereby their exercises grow to the scope that we later know them to be gradually, which allows them to pass them off as several individual exercises, thus being below the OSCE threshold.
Of course, you're calling for a treaty restricting where certain weapons can be deployed, backed by robust inspections. How feasible is that in reality? Do you really think all sides will comply?
Well, it's essentially just a look again at the Conventional Forces in Europe treaty, which until very recently both sides ascribed to. It's only very recently that Russia has basically declared this treaty defunct, which leads us to believe that they would consider, if not a reboot of this treaty, but a renegotiation of another one.